Good evening. What is it? What it is? I said, what is it? What it is, man. It is another wonderful Wednesday night. Y'all know what we do on Wednesdays. Y'all know what we are on Wednesdays. It is the only coaching show in the county. Uh, Titusville Coaching Show, powered by PRMD. Here every Wednesday night. Man, I ain't gonna tell y'all no lie. I'm not gonna tell y'all no lie. I kind of feel away. Last week was rough. Like last week was rough, man. But we're gonna get into that a little bit. We're gonna dive into that, talk about that a little bit, and then we're going to make sure that we introduce y'all to those staff members like I told y'all we would. So we got a lot to do, man. Y'all let me know where you watching from, what school you represent. I know everybody is not a Seville supporter, but that doesn't mean that you can't be a PRMD supporter. So let me know who you're representing, and we're about to get into it. Like I said, last week was really, really tough, dog. As a fan, as alumni of Titusville High School, I was disappointed. Not in our guys, because I believe that our guys are going to always give maximum effort. I just was disappointed because I know that we can play better. I know that we're a really good team. And oftentimes people categorize Titusville, which is one of the main reasons that I think I'm so vocal in my support of Titusville, is because we have so many people that are always trying to talk down on Titusville. And I want kids to know that being from Titusville is not an Achilles heel. It's not a curse. You can be from the Ville. You can make it from the Ville. You can be great from the Ville. That's just what it is. What up, brother? Yeah, like you can really make it from our city, and so that's why I'm always so adamant about my support for the Ville. But like I said, man, we finna get to it. My boy is here. He is here, and he's locked and loaded, and we finna the stage. Coach, what's
What
up,
the
man?
Telly?
What's up, man?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
It's been a long week, brother. It's been
Tell
a
me
long
about it.
week. Yeah, I have had to put out a bunch of forest fires over the last few days. Where do we start? Where do we start? Last week we played West Orange. West Orange was a good team.
Very good.
7A school Final Four team out of Orlando, Winter Garden area. They have more kids than we do, but they are really good at what they do. I saw a little bit of their film, and I was like, we can play with them, but it's gonna be a long night. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
yeah.
Here's what you can't do when you play a really good team like that, and they're a good team. They are.
Right.
Quarterback's really, really talented. They've
Right.
got athletes all over the field, big, long, fast receivers. They're huge up front. When you're playing a team like that, what you can't do is you can't start out the way we did.
Right.
We certainly didn't anticipate that. First series, we go to punt. We get a punt blocked, scoop and score. Guy missed, we had a couple guys just not great up front blocking. We got that. Never had a problem with it. Now all of a sudden we have a problem with it, and we didn't have a problem with it the rest of the night.
Right.
So I have no idea, one of those things. You can't get a punt blocked, scoop score. Then the next possession you come out, your quarterback takes a hit, and, little controversial. It is what it is. Was he throwing it? Was he not? Ball pops out. They scoop it, get down inside the 5. We make a stand for a couple plays. They score. Next thing you know, you're a minute and a half into the game, and you're down 14-0.
Right.
If you play teams like that, you can't have those kind of starts. And then, we had some misfires. They do a really good job with their kickoff team, strategically doing some stuff to place it in some tough spots. And, we gave up a possession there. We had interception early. So, anytime you give the opposing team 4 possessions, I don't care who you're playing, it's not usually a good outcome. But when you're playing a good team like them, it's going to make your night tough. Now, I was proud of how the kids battled.
Right.
No one ever folded. We kept chipping away. But we had a rough night. There's no other way to slice it. We had a rough night, but I was proud. We hung 21 points when it was all said and done.
Right.
We did put, now here's where I was really proud of them. As much as I'm getting, we give up 14 quick points, minute and a half into the game. So now we take our third possession. We put together a really nice drive. We go down the field, score 7. It's 14-7. All right, everybody settle down. And then we ended up getting beat defensively. I think that was over, whatever it was. Now it's 21-7, then a turnover. Next thing you know, I mean, it's like once the momentum got rolling, it was hard to slow them down. They're a very talented team, and we put ourselves in some positions that did not allow us to be successful.
Definitely can't spot them any points, do them any favors.
Gave them 21, literally.
Yeah, literally gave them 21. But what I was most impressed about is, like you said, I'm constantly seeing kids growing up on the job. I'm constantly seeing kids remaining focused, not letting their posture see as if they appear as if they've given up, and continuing to fight. So I think that speaks to whatever message you all are sending to the team in practice and in meetings and things of that nature.
I think whether it's life or a football game on a Friday night, when you deal with adversity, and dealing with adversity in that particular instance, you really find out what you're made of and what your kids are about, when you're having a tough night. And you still got me there?
Yeah.
Okay. You find out what you're made of. You find out who you are when you are on the receiving end of getting your butt kicked. You find out a lot about the kids that are going to be selfish and pouty, or the ones that are going to lead and keep trying to, find a way back in the game. And we had a lot of kids, really, never fold. And I was very, very impressed with that, because like I told them, whether you're up by 100 or you're down by 100, I've been on both sides.
Right.
You find out what you're made of, by keep playing.
And let's talk about special teams, because I feel as though we have been struggling a little bit on special teams.
Yeah.
What are we going to? What kind of plans?
I'll tell you what. I got some good news for you. If there was a bright spot for us Friday night, we kicked 3 extra points and we made 3 extra points.
That's what matters.
You know how that has been a little Achilles heel, if you will.
Right.
We ran the field goal unit team on 3 times, and they were successful 3 times. So that's going in the right direction.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel good about that.
Okay, and also, what are some situations that I feel as though Bill has shown some bright spots in playing offense? I think he's done some things that I didn't know he was capable of. I think he's shown a few bright spots. Well, going forward, what are some things that we are going to do to kind of make him feel more comfortable, get him in a consistent playmaking situation?
But that's the thing we've worked on all week. That's kind of been a mantra, if you will, with us, is consistency. Because we, like you said, we shown flashes. The third drive of the West Orange game, went right down the field, threw some really nice passes. Routes were clean and crisp. I think the one thing that we can really do to help him is the people around him, is when, they have stepped up early in the season. Some of the stuff we were having problems with, I'll be honest, like everybody, I guess, but we were certainly having problems with, was a couple things. Route running. We weren't consistent in our route running. And it's really hard for a quarterback to find success when what he's expecting to see in the route combination or his read, we're not where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to be there. And that makes a quarterback look kind of silly, and to no fault of his own. The other thing that I feel we've had a great week on is working our up front and cleaning up some of the protections. I think we were a little unsure at times. We've got some guys, as we're banged up front.
Right.
We've got some guys playing out of position, and we had, we moved some stuff around. So anytime you move some stuff around, there is a little bit of unfamiliarity that takes a little bit to build that confidence.
Right.
And, we've had some really good periods this week to where I feel our confidence has risen up front. So if we can be more confident up front, which I think we are, and, we look a little cleaner and run what we're supposed to run, how we're supposed to run it, that'll really help the quarterback settle down, because his eyes are looking for particular things, and that'll help him.
All right. And the people, there's no name for the people. They're just a group of individuals. They want to know what do you plan to do as it pertains to Tank. You got Kamari back there. You got Alex. How are you planning to get those guys more involved in the offense going forward?
I think those three guys lead the offense in touches.
Yeah.
They lead them in touches. If we have a couple drops, stat lines improve.
Right.
Kamari's had some really big weeks running the ball.
Yeah.
We've got some good stuff in. And it is, like Coach Saban always says, you don't think plays, you think players.
Right.
And I believe that you got to get those guys touches. Even Dion, Dion's got to get more touches. Dion is all about consistency.
Definitely.
And what I would also say, I guess, it's a fun thing. I love, hey, everybody's got an opinion. That's what makes sports fun. We're going to be just fine. And, I have no everybody in the stands knows your job better than you, but not one person applied when the job was open. You know what I mean?
Understandable. So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about this week's upcoming opponent, Vieira Hawks. They have some decent wins. I think they're a very interesting team. They're a very disciplined team. Yep. I will speak to that. They can surprise you if not, I'm trying to be careful with my observations and what I say I believe teams are or are not, because I have realized that people use it against me. And not for nothing, I think that some message might have been sent to West Orange about what I said in Spaces about them last week before the game. So I cannot confirm or deny that reality just yet, but I will say, so Vieira, I think Vieira is a good team. I think they are a sound team. What are some things you saw on film from Vieira?
You know what, Vieira, kind of the snapshot of a Vieira team. They certainly, they certainly fit the Vieira bill. When you think about some of the good teams that come through Vieira, they're big up front on both sides. They're well coached in the trenches. They don't misfire very often. They do a really good job up front, offensively and defensively. They're very sound in their zone coverages on the defense. They're very sound. They're hard to beat. They're very disciplined. The quarterback's pretty nice. He, I call him sneaky good, because it's not. He'll surprise you. Watch the astronaut game. He hit some nice windows, and stuff. He made some really nice throws that, certainly, I haven't played Vieira in a long time. I think the last time I played Vieira was at my previous spot in 2021, maybe 2020, somewhere in there. So it's been a long minute since I played a Vieira team. The Vieira certainly is a formidable opponent. what you can say about Vieira is all three of their games have been dogfights.
Right.
The Rockledge game, they came back. They were at a 21-7 deficit.
Right.
And came back with a 2-point play to win it. They lost 14-7 to Deltona. And now I'll give them that's kind of Deltona runs one of those unusual, unconventional, wing T, single wing. I didn't spend a bunch of time watching that, but that kind of offense that can be tough and hold the ball all night. And then the Astronaut game, it was a little closer game than one may realize when you looked at the final score.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it was close because it wasn't, but it was not the blowout that you thought it was until you watch the film.
Right.
So what I can tell you is they're going to play for 4 quarters. They're not going to shut off, and they show up and they play every down and they play it hard. It's a good team, and there's a lot of good coaches over there.
And Coach, what is after a week like last week? What is a message that you send to the team or you try to convey to the team just this week to prepare them and just kind of have short-term memory loss is what I try to call it, and just not focus on last week and not let last week be something that defines who you are as a team or what your possibilities can be, because everything is still wide open.
Yeah,
everything you want to obtain is still available.
If we were going to have one of those games where you give away 21 points and you have the block and then you have the fumble scoop, and it was good to get it out of your system in week 3 against a really good team.
Right.
I told those kids that night on the field, don't dwell on this over the weekend, because what I don't want them doing is dwelling and hanging their head and that kind of thing. But that was one of those games where you never forget, but you don't carry it with you. You got to check your bags at the door. That's in the past. We talk about windshield mentality all the time. I know that's a big Dabo Sweeney thing. I heard him speak at a clinic, and he was talking about this some years ago. I think Jameis Winston was still at Florida State. Clemson beat Florida State in every category on the scoreboard, in every category there was except the scoreboard.
Right.
So if we didn't possess that windshield mentality, we would have never been able to get out of bed. There's a reason the windshield is, 5 feet wide and the rear view mirrors, 4 inches. It's a whole lot more important what's in front of you than what's behind you. Don't forget about it. But, we got to, we had to move on and not dwell on it. We certainly learned from it. We watched film. We've made corrections. We see, I'll tell you, a lot of that was just fundamentals too.
Right.
Our defensive staff does an awesome job, and nobody was more frustrated with them. We had too many missed tackles.
Yeah, we'll have Coach TJ on in a second.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, we had too many missed tackles. We had, some bad eye discipline. We had some mistakes that we didn't make the week previous, or not as many. But playing a really good football team will do that to you too.
Right.
So, but no, that's the thing. That's been the message this week is, man, listen, what's done is done. We got to carry on, and we got to prepare.
And not for nothing, I think it's worth mentioning that West Orange is absolutely probably the best team that will play from top to bottom. Just all the things they have and all the things they're capable of doing. Yeah. And I think that's probably the best team. No offense to anybody else, but I think that's probably the best team. I think on paper, you wouldn't get many people to argue that. I think right now I don't know. I mean, you pay better, but I think they're top 30, top 40 in the state of Florida. Yeah. As a whole, they got some quality wins.
They got that's a good program. That's a good team. I mean, they got about 4,500 kids to pull from. Yeah. That's a pretty good team.
I did have to do some quality arguing on Friday after the game. But nevertheless, I'm always with the Ville. You know how that goes. But so I'm excited about this Friday. I think the show is better when we can get a win. I think this will be a great opportunity for us to get a win. I think it'll be a quality opponent. Vieira is no slouch, of course. And this will be the September that we talked about. I think we spoke about how important September would be and how some of these games were not going to be easy, but we were going to have to get through them. It any word on when the lineman when Jeremy will be coming back? Do you know?
Yeah, he's doing well. I don't have oh, he'll be back in 48 hours. I don't have
Yeah.
anything like that. I know he's progressing and he's doing well, and we're just going to keep an eye on him. And when they give him the green light, we're gonna go.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Coach. It's been a great week. Like I said, we got Coach TJ waiting. We're
Good, my
gonna
man.
bring him up. We can add him right now. What's up, brother?
There's my man.
What's going on, man? What up, Coach?
What up? What up?
Well, we're glad to have you. If you don't know, Coach TJ has been coaching for a little while, and he is now the defensive coordinator at Titusville High School. Give them a little introduction, real quick. Tell them a little bit about yourself. So, for those who don't know who you are, will know who you are, what you do, how you do
I'm
it.
TJ, been coaching since 2018. From the area, born and raised. Went to Rockledge my freshman and sophomore year, then Cocoa my junior senior year. Graduated, finished off my senior year playing under Coach Wilt. Went to college, came back home, just trying to find myself, got into coaching, the opportunity presented itself, and never looked back after that. Started at Cocoa in 2018 after Wilt stepped down. But prior to him stepping down, I was just always around the program, just being one of those alumni, helping out, being a scout team receiver if I gotta be, scout team DB if I gotta be, just being around the kids, just still, having that love for the game. So once he stepped down, the opportunity presented itself, and I took advantage of it, and just turned it into this. I'm thankful for it. Thankful for the journey that it took to get here.
Well, let's ask you a little bit. How has it been at Titusville? Your first year as a defensive coordinator, your first year at Titusville. You've been baptized in some deep waters this last few weeks. But how has that been? Your first year as a DC at Titusville. How's that been going for you?
The transition has been great in a surprising way. Even with me joining late in the summer, I think it was like 3.5 weeks to camp. I was a little nervous, but me and Diesel worked together my last 2 years at Coco, and I felt like just we had that chemistry and that gel to. I feel like it wasn't gonna be no drop off. Like we're gonna pick up where we left off, and that's pretty much what it was. The defensive staff that was already on board, Coach Maurice, Coach Onion, Coach Tay. They made the transition much easier. I kept pretty much everything the same that they was already doing. Didn't want to come in trying to change up much, and we just hit the ground rolling. So everything been good as far as like the environment, being on campus at the school, working with the admin, just everything's been a great transition.
All right. So your first year as defensive coordinator, what was that feeling the first time you walked onto the field, knowing that everything lives and dies in your opinions? And how was that moment for you?
It was surreal. Surreal, but I also felt like I was ready for it. I've been in similar situations to where I feel like I had that pressure just when making that transition with the new staff and Coach Wilder. My prior stance when I was at Coco, when he was making that transition to come be the DC at Coco, he pretty much, put it up in me and Coach Marlon hand. It was like, hey, I'm trusting y'all. So it was similar to that feeling right there. Like, it's really here. Like, this is that time. This is that moment. Everything you've done, the time you put in, it leads up to this right here. And it was a surreal feeling. That's the best way I could put it.
So another question for you. When Coach Diesel came calling, how did you feel about that opportunity? Or how did you reach out to him? Did he reach out to you? How did that come
Funny
about?
story behind that, man. I got a lot of love for Coach Diesel, dog. In all honesty, I feel like he probably been the only understanding individual in the situation, the circumstances that would have kind of swept under the rug how I responded to the opportunity. But he reached out to me on the reference of Coach Tay. I had great, great words to say about Coach Tay. Then, he teetered off the, is you kind of happy where you at? Would you be, open to, come, be the DC? And at first, I was nervous. I kind of like blew him off in a way we were supposed to meet up, and I got cold feet, so I gave it about a week, slept on it, prayed on it. Then I gave him a call and asked, just to test the waters. Did you hire a DC yet? And he told me he was bringing on Coach OC, but he hasn't confirmed anything. So he was like, I'm still open to it. So once he said that, I kind of felt like, okay, yeah, is there. And I was it was great, looking forward to working with Coach OC. He's still with us to a capacity. Shout out to him. And it was great. Like it was great. It was a welcoming feeling. He understood what the situation that transpired, which led to me, kind of getting cold feet, and he respected that, and I really appreciated that. And just coming in, it made everything that much smoother. Like it felt like there was no drop off. It just was a smooth transition.
And how has it been at the Ville, like just from a coaching standpoint? Tell us about some of the kids that are at the Ville and some of the guys that are shining and will continue to shine. Maybe some guys we don't know about yet, some names we should be looking out for.
um it was great, especially just getting to know the kids from a personal standpoint. Just I like outside of football, and don't want to make everything relationship wise about football. I know they're human beings, we all are. So just getting to know the kids off the field. You got your Bill Jefferson. I feel like he's been shining all season. Want him to be a more of a vocal leader. We got Bookhart, probably one of the most quietest kids I ever been around, but man, that kid got a mean first step, and he shows up week on and week off, whether it's practice or on the Friday night, he shows up. DJ Jenkins, we asked a lot out of him right off the bat. He's probably done played on every level so far, and he's been accepted of all of it, and he's been shining. Um, Got Zamirius. He went from safety. We brought him down closer to the box. Felt like we can get him more active right there, and it was a smooth transition for him as well. So I feel like he's going to definitely pick up and continue to play on a high level. We got corner LD. That's your cousin. I feel like
Yeah,
he probably done in every game we done played so far. He done probably caught a pick six in like 3 games.
yeah.
He got a lot of upside. Like he has a lot of upside. And I feel like once he start being a lot more consistent and to have more of an understanding for the game from a mental standpoint, he's going to be one of those ones for real. And then you got Kamari, Pee Wee. I feel like he showed some flashes. Once he get consistent as well, I feel like it's definitely the light's gonna click off for him too. And that's just pretty much on the whole back end. Like once those guys get consistent, you got Quay, C2, and then we just had another addition. I feel like a lot of that once everything get going, we bringing Tank over. Everything's gonna start gelling for those guys, and everything's gonna click on one cylinder. And I feel like it's gonna put us in a great position. Linebacker wise, we got Cheddar and Waylon. Feel like they're a great 1-2 punch. Complimentary, then you bringing in Barry as well. So pretty much I say that the whole defense, they doing their thing. Like, yeah, we dropped the ball last week, but I feel like we had a great week in practice this week to bounce back. I challenged them mentally just to see how they was gonna respond, and surprisingly they responded in a good way. So I'm looking forward to seeing them put together Friday night.
Speaking of Friday, we got to talk about last Friday because the people. That's what the people come here for. They want to
That's
hear about
facts.
that. So, last Friday, what was something that you kind of used as a motivational tool for the defense? You gave up. It wasn't even the defense's fault, but it's a team
Team
thing.
effort,
So
team effort.
you give up some early points. You go down 14-0. What is the message to the defense about how they can continue to play and persevere, even though we had these mistakes come early in the game?
When you playing a team that made it to the Final Four last year and they returned a lot of starters off that, a lot of those kids are battle tested.
Oh yeah.
So no, they know how to respond in moments. They know how to capitalize and take advantage of that moments. But when you got us on the other hand, we've been battle tested, but not to a certain capacity where you put yourself in a hole, 14-point hole right off the bat. It's kind of hard to mentally grasp what just happened in the first 15 minutes of the game.
Right.
So, I try to just settle them down and just, keep it simple. At the end of the day, no matter what happens out there, we got to get out there and play defense. At the end of the day, if the offense don't score, they don't win the game. If we got them to a fourth and goal on the one, and just not simply prepared at the snap of the ball, and they got one on us, and that really just led to the downfall of this gym just trying to settle in, just understand the concept, understand what's going on, and let the game slow down and just go out there and just trust what you've been coached to do all from camp on up.
So with coaching comes critics, and I told you, Coach. Well, I don't know if you heard, but I asked Coach Diesel some questions that some of the critics have been saying. But I want to ask you, what do you say to the people that might believe that you weren't ready for this moment? What do you say to those individuals that have criticized? I know I've been critical, but I just want to see Titusville be the best it's gonna be. But and I'm not I'm not like these people. They
Nah, you
sometimes they
good,
can
man.
be a little too harsh. But
Hey, it come with the
what
territory.
do you say to the critics that are concerned that the moment could be too big? What do you say to those people?
Um, just watch me work. Like
Right,
I'm gonna go in and day out, and put my best foot forward, stand on all 10, and just do what I've been loving to do. This
right,
whole time. I understand it comes with pressure. I feel like I live for these moments. Pressure bust pipes. How you gonna respond to adversity? How you gonna overcome a situation? I feel like anybody can walk into a situation where you got a lot of ready-made talent. You don't really got to develop nothing from top to bottom, and you really got to put it together. It's easy to win when you just got athletes out there making plays, but when
right.
you actually have to coach athletes up and get them to understand how to make these plays and make these plays throughout the week in practice, so it can happen on a Friday night, it all goes hand in hand. So
Right.
I just tell them, just watch me work. I'm gonna grind it out.
I believe in you. I believe in what you're doing. I know you are the DB guru. So let me ask how you translate that to coaching as a defensive coordinator. I know it's one thing to have to coach a specified group, but it's a whole nother thing when you have to account for what everybody's doing on the defense. Well, how do you take that approach to that?
It's a mentality thing, just keeping the same energy and just being transparent and vocal and doing my best to lead by example and just trying to break it down. Just really get them to understand the why versus just me coming in just pointing in directions and not really explaining and or elaborating on such. So I feel like it really starts from a communication standpoint. Once the communication is established, that's when the belief starts to kick in. And then once the belief kick in, now you got the trust. Now you got the trust. Now you got a foundation. And everything else falls into place on its own.
That's good stuff. Last question.
Hey, let me add
Uh,
to that, Martell, on the TJ. And I'm just going to talk about my man here real quick. Listen, I met TJ when he was the DBU guru, right? Did a good job with the DBs, but I'll tell you, it's been nice and it's been fun to be a small part of his maturation process. He's done a good job, because I shouldn't say anybody. That's not true. A DB guy, in most cases, they don't want nothing to do with the box.
yeah.
Let me play my cover 3, my 4, my 6. Let me play match quarters. Let me man match. Blah 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 blah. This DB guy's got a little different thinking than. I'm getting ready to play a team that's going to run nothing but counter and power. How do I handle it? He's done a good job sharpening his sword and, having it all relate through. Because when it starts up to the front, it works to the mid-level. Front guy's got to fit. Mid-level's got to fit. Back end's got to fit. All that stuff works together. TJ's done a good job of explaining that and making sure, the rules are simple, but still fast and multiple looks out of it. So doing a good job. That's my man.
Shout out to Coach TJ for progressing and for coaching the Ville. I definitely.
Hey,
You could have been anywhere else, and you decided to come to Titusville, so we don't take that for granted. We appreciate that. But the last question: if there's any game that you got circled on your schedule what game is that for you this year?
Usually I don't really try to make one game bigger than the other. I feel like they all have an equal role, especially to leading up to the playoffs.
Right.
But if I could definitely circle one, it'd definitely be Galley. I know a lot of the coaches over there. I'm definitely cool with Coach Sands. Me and Coach D, we tight. We coached together last year at Rockledge. We went to high school together. So I would say that Galley game because I know a lot of those coaches personally, and right now since I left Coco, Sands up on me. I want to try to even up the score a little bit, man.
I feel that. Shout out to you, Galley and Coach Sands. They got a big one this Friday. They got to play TFA. They got TFA coming to town, so it's going to be a gauntlet of the next few weeks for them. So shout out to you, Galley. I want to thank y'all for coming on. Thank both of y'all for taking time to come on. Coach TJ is the first start of all of the interviewing some of those assistant coaches we're going to bring on so y'all can know a little bit more about the staff that is coaching at Titusville this year, assisting with Coach Diesel. So thank you for coming on, Coach TJ. We wish you the best of luck on Friday.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
My man.
All right, Coach. See you next week. We got another one coming, and we got to get to it. That's all I can. That's all I can say.
All we can do is put them in position. They got them. We got to make some plays.
Yes, sir.
We got to hold some blocks. We got to actually move some people up front. Get some running game going, and that's what I'm sitting here thinking about. Being able to pound on the ground a little bit.
Right. So I had
you caught me mid thought.
I had a few people kind of say I was being a little bit biased on giving out my spotlight to Little League Terrier. They said I kept giving it to the 10U. And so I am going to make sure that tonight
Who you got tonight?
I get a spotlight. Malachi Brothers. He's on a flag team. He's the son of Robert Brothers.
Yep.
A lot of people know his dad from training. He had a really big touchdown play on Saturday. Really was a big part of their team. And so shout out to him. We'll be making sure you receive a gift from PRMD. So we made sure we spotlighted him before this is all over. But like I said, Coach, thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you.
Consenting to do the show. Good luck on Friday. Let's get us a dub. And hopefully next week we got a better conversation.
Agreed. No terrier.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Thank you.